on this exercise when starting out. You'll often find that it's tough to keep your lower back flat and that your lower back actually gives out before your arms and back do. This is pretty natural, and over time as you get more experienced, you'll find that this problem quickly begins to go away. Beginners often also find that they can't feel the exercise working their back. This is also completely natural. The back is a pretty tough muscle group to really target because you can't see it while you're training. The best advice I could give here is two things. Number one, always use lifting straps. I don't see any reason why bodybuilders should not use lifting straps for their back exercises. Straps eliminate your grip and will make it far easier to focus on the target muscles. We're not power lifters here. We're trying to build muscle, and straps will definitely improve your ability to place the focus on your back. And number two, try to forget about your arms during the exercise. In other words, think of your arms as merely hooks that are attaching you to the weight. But when you actually pull the weight up, try to imagine that you're using your elbows and really try to squeeze your shoulder blades together as you complete the rep.
Got you, go.
This right here is the bread and butter of solid lat development, the overhand chin-up. Most people tend to grip too widely on this exercise, but it's actually more effective to use a narrower grip that is only slightly outside of shoulder width. And this grip keeps the most stress on your lats and also lessens the stress on your shoulder joints. Notice how I lower myself just short of a dead hang position, and this keeps the tension on the lats throughout the whole exercise and keeps the stress off the shoulder joints. Pulling up until your chin just nudges over the bar. This last rep was a really tough struggle. I got right up near the top, but was having trouble getting my chin over. Now the truth is that on this set I probably could have attempted another rep. It was kind of 50-50 here. Now I certainly wouldn't have been able to complete another full rep, but I probably would have gotten at least halfway up, and there is benefit in half a rep. So even I don't perform every set perfectly, and on this set, yes, I probably should have attempted another half rep here. But often at the end of a set you're pushing so hard and you're in so much discomfort that it kind of throws your judgment off. But in any case, overhand chin-ups are incredibly effective, and we want to use the same idea here as we did with the rows. Lifting straps are highly recommended, and again, try not to think about your arms, and try to imagine that all of the pulling is coming from your elbows. After you can perform at least 7 reps using your own body weight, then you're going to want to add resistance using a dumbbell or a weight plate. As you can see in the video, I'm using a weight belt with a dumbbell attached to it. You can also try to slip a dumbbell in between your knees or your ankles if you don't have a weight belt. Okay, seated rows. Now these are a pretty solid exercise. It's a machine lift, but because we're using a cable, you're able to move naturally throughout the movement. And this hits the mid-back and the lats pretty nicely. The main advantage here is for those with lower back issues because it's not performed in a bent-over position, and that takes the majority of the stress off of the lower back. You can use either a V-bar attachment like the one that I'm using here. It's also acceptable to use a straight bar attachment as well. So, a good exercise, but unless you have a specific lower back issue, I would still recommend a basic bent-over barbell or dumbbell row. And this comes back to the total body stress issue that we talked about earlier on. Bent-over free weight rows are far more challenging, more gut-wrenching, and will place more overall stress on your body as a whole, and so therefore the muscle growth response will be more dramatic as well. But if you do have lower back problems, this is a good alternative.
You good?
This is the next best variation to the regular overhand chin-up, and the reason why I say next best is because this exercise places a lot of the stress on the biceps and not as much on the lats. And you can tell by the grip position that it's almost like a variation of a curl. But in any case, it's still a pretty powerful mass builder for the back. I personally don't use straps on this exercise because I find it more comfortable without them given the underhand grip. But if you find straps comfortable, then by all means you can use them here.
One more.
Now I perform this exercise right at the very end of my back workout, hence the lack of weight being used. I also very rarely perform this exercise, this underhand variation, so my strength is not so great on this exercise. So just like the overhand variation, make sure not to lower your body into a dead hang position. You want to go down just short of being fully extended, and this is going to keep the stress on your lats throughout the entire set, and it will also keep the stress off of your shoulder joints. Now, if given the choice between overhand or underhand chin-ups, I'm going to always go with the overhand version because it limits the bicep involvement, and in my experience, it's just simply more effective at hitting the lats. But this is definitely an acceptable exercise for the back. It does tend to place less stress on the shoulder joint, so that is one advantage. Now, I also want to address one other issue while we're on the topic of chin-ups, and that is for those of you who aren't quite strong enough yet to perform them. I get a lot of questions about this, and you can find an answer to it in the My Personal Trainer database, but I'll also explain it here. And this applies both to dips and chin-ups. The first thing to look for is an assisted chin-up and dip machine, and this is basically a chin-up and dipping bar that has a platform for you to place your knees on, and there's a weight stack where you can choose how much support you need. So if your gym has one of these machines, then that's your best bet. You can simply stick to that and try to continue progressing in weight and reps until you can use your own body weight without assistance. Now, if you don't have an assisted chin-up and dip machine at your gym, then you'll have to take a slightly different approach. And that approach depends largely on how many chin-ups or dips you're able to perform at the moment. If you can perform at least 3 chin-ups or dips, then this is what I would recommend. Perform your regular set and try to squeeze out as many reps as you can. Once you reach positive muscular failure, you're going to want to perform 2 to 3 negatives. Basically what that means is that you jump yourself up into the starting position and then lower yourself back down very slowly. If you can't train in a positive fashion, then the only other option is to train in a negative fashion. And these negatives will help to build up your strength, and once you can perform at least 5 chin-ups or dips using your own body weight, then you can cut the negatives out and continue performing your sets normally. Now, if you're completely hopeless in performing even a single chin-up or dip, then you'll want to substitute in different exercises for the time being. In the case of chin-ups, I would recommend subbing in overhand lat pull-downs. And in the case of dips, you can sub in a decline barbell or dumbbell press. So what you'll want to do here is to perform your substitute exercise, and when you're finished those sets, go over to the chin-up or dip bar and perform 3 to 4 slow negative reps. Continue using